I'd like to first of all welcome you to my CD and book launch. Thank you for coming and for honoring this occasion. I'm greatly touched. You know, God is so awesome, and I really want him to receive all the glory and praise for what is going on here today. I'm just an ordinary person, the girl next door, just like you and everyone else. But God has given me a vision, and I've decided to run with the vision that he's given me. He's strengthened me, he's empowered me, he's given me, you know, the confidence to go ahead to do what I'm doing right now. I could not do what I'm doing unless the Lord had commissioned me. So many of you know me and you think, how come this girl is doing all this stuff? It is just by the grace of God. It has nothing to do with me. I'm here by the authority of God. It has nothing to do with me. I'm here by the authority of God. I had this desire to write songs. I wrote a song. I gave it to the worship team in my church, and they started to sing the song. And, you know, every Sunday they would sing that song. Some of you can remember that song called Make Me Lord. You know, that's how the whole thing started. I never even knew I could sing. And then one day, one of the girls in the worship team called Susan, we were just chatting, and I started to sing this song, and she recorded it, and she played it back to me, and I said, "Is that me singing?" She said, "Yes," you know. She encouraged me. You know, so that's when the music really started. And then in 2007, I decided to travel to East Africa on a missionary trip to support those who were supporting people who had suffered from the genocide of 1994. And what happened then is that I wanted to look outside of myself. You know, I was going through a lot of trauma, very, very deep personal issues, like Samantha mentioned at that time. And I thought, you know, the best thing is to step out of myself and reach out to other people. You know, that's going to help me if I look away from my own problems and go and minister and help other people. So I went to Rwanda, and when I got there, I was pleasantly surprised because a lot of the people there ministered to me, people who were hurting. They ministered to me by the joy that they had. One thing I noticed was that a lot of the people who had suffered in the genocide had family killed, had children killed, who had been raped, and they were survivors, had so much joy. And I couldn't understand, how come you've been through so much? I'm here to comfort you, but you're just getting on with things. And I believe that the Lord took me there because he wanted me to see that it's not about us, it's about him, what he can do in our lives. And I saw them glorify God in their situation and in their circumstance. So that encouraged me. And another thing that happened to me while I was there is that God now began to open doors. I went there to just comfort people, but because I sing, he opened doors there. And I recorded my first album there in Rwanda, and I was invited to sing. And subsequently, I think 2 years later, I was invited to Uganda to sing, and I sang, you know, where there were over 100,000 people. And God has just been taking me step by step, you know, and stage by stage. I'll just give you a bit of background behind these books. There are 3 books here. One is called A Great Inheritance, Ruth's Choice. And the other one is the story of Ruth. And one of them is called The Book of Ruth, Beauty for Ashes, Joy for Mourning, and Praise for Despair. They're all different. I started to read up about Ruth in the Bible because the Lord had called me Ruth. I wanted to know, why is it that the Lord had called me Ruth? I needed to find out. So I started to study that book in depth. That's why you've got different aspects of that story in these books. I started to study it in depth, things about her character, her faith. You know, she decided to leave what she was familiar with and grasp that which she did not know, but she had faith in. You know, God took her through a journey, and she eventually obtained a great inheritance through her husband Boaz. And actually Ruth is in line with Jesus Christ because she's the great-great-great-grandmother of Jesus Christ. This is somebody who was a Moab. And in the Bible, God told the Israelites not to have any association with other tribes. But this is a woman who came into that inheritance and even became the great-great-grandmother of Jesus Christ, you know. on one of my trips to East Africa, I met up with a group of people who ran a children's home, and they invited me there to teach the children. God had been speaking to me about children, and I found out that in Rwanda they speak several languages. They speak French, they speak Swahili, and they speak in Rwanda. So it was quite difficult for me to communicate with the children. And secondly, they didn't have any children's books. There was nothing for children, and I was like, I've got to do something about this. So I decided to make up my own book. And I worked with some people, and we got it translated into the 3 languages. Because one of the things I was taught in Bible school is that you must make the word effective to the people that you're ministering to. They must understand what you're saying. So it was very, very important for me to communicate to these children in their own language. So I really want to thank God for what he's doing. I thank you for coming, and I really appreciate you. And I want you to pray for me that God will continue to use me, because I believe I have one that I'm working on now in Hausa, which is spoken in northern Nigeria. And God has put me into contact with a lot of East African people. That's why you have people from East Africa here today ministering. You have people from South Africa, because I believe that we're all one. And, you know, if you're going to minister in another land, no points bringing your own ways to them. You minister to them how they know best in their own language. That's what God has taught me, you know. That I shouldn't try and impose my ideas or my thoughts on them. Keep it biblical, but in the way that they can understand. Hallelujah. So that's all I have to say.